I am Elysia Vaughn, 31 years old, a data analytics specialist at Quantix Solutions, one of the leading companies in artificial intelligence. I've never been the type to seek attention. I'm not the loudest voice in the room, I don't excel at small talk, and I certainly don't waste time on meaningless chatter by the coffee machine. But when it comes to results, I know I'm the best. For the past 6 years, I have silently built the foundation that keeps Quantix Solutions running. I didn't just do my job, I transformed the way this company operates. I developed an AI-driven data optimization system that cut operational costs by 35% and improved overall efficiency. When there was a problem, I was the one who solved it. When the team struggled, I was the one staying late to fix the mistakes. And yet, no matter how well I performed, I always felt like there was an invisible wall keeping me from moving forward. The first time I realized this was 3 years ago. I had worked tirelessly on a critical project with a 4-person team, but when it came time to present to the executive board, my boss, Malcolm Stroud, let Ronan Hale, a newcomer, take the lead. Ronan presented using my data, my reports, my analysis, but instead of acknowledging my contributions, he simply said, "This was a team effort." And I said nothing. I believed that my work would speak for itself, that people would recognize my contributions on their own. But then Ronan was the one who got the praise. He was given more opportunities, more high-profile projects. And me? I stayed exactly where I was. Now it's happening again. There's something off in the office today. The stolen glances, the hushed whispers, the way conversations abruptly stop when I walk past. I know what this means. The promotion list has been released. I quicken my pace to my desk, open my laptop, and check my inbox. It takes only seconds to find the email I'm looking for. Subject: Leadership Appointments. Quantix Solutions, Executive Board. I take a deep breath and click on it. My eyes scan the names. I check again. My name isn't there. A cold wave runs down my spine. No, this can't be right. I scroll down, searching for the name that replaced me. And there it is. Ronan Hale. My fingers tighten around my mouse. A message pops up on my screen. Dylan Carter. Just saw the list. This isn't fair. Dylan is one of the few colleagues I trust. He knows exactly what I've done for this company. I don't respond. I don't want to talk about it. The phone on my desk rings. "Elysia, can you come to my office for a moment? It's Malcolm Stroud." I close my eyes, take a steady breath, then rise to my feet. This is the moment where I need to stay calm. Adjusting my blazer, I walk into the meeting room. Malcolm is seated behind his desk, holding a document, likely the promotion list. Standing beside him, arms crossed, is Ronan Hale. A self-satisfied smirk plays on his lips. "Elysia," Malcolm begins, "I know you might be disappointed by this decision." I fold my arms. I just want to understand why. Malcolm nods, as if he has rehearsed his response. "No one doubts that you're an outstanding employee. Your achievements are impressive. But we need a leader, not just someone who does great work." I let out a short, sharp laugh. "So results don't matter?" "That's not what I'm saying," Malcolm replies, his tone calm. "But Ronan has skills that align better with what we need right now. He knows how to connect with people, how to inspire a team, and in leadership, that's important." I turn to Ronan. He tilts his head and shrugs. "You're good at what you do, Elysia. No one's denying that. But being a leader isn't just about sitting in front of a screen writing algorithms." A knot tightens in my stomach, but I refuse to let it show. Slowly, I rise from my chair, meeting Malcolm's gaze before turning to Ronan. "Thank you for clarifying how this company values me." I don't wait for a response. I walk out, leaving them behind. Back at my desk, I open my laptop, staring at the screen. A file pops up. The AI project I've been developing for the past 2 years. A system that can analyze and optimize real-time data, reducing manual processing by 80%. If implemented correctly, it could revolutionize the industry. But now, it will never belong to Quantix Solutions. I take a slow sip of coffee, eyes still on the screen. They don't value me? Fine. But I will not let them waste my talent 1 second longer. I close my laptop. The first step in leaving has officially begun. I sat in front of my computer screen, staring at the lines of code for the AI system I had spent the past 2 years developing. The numbers flickered before my eyes, but my mind was far from this office. A part of me wanted to stand up, submit my resignation immediately, walk out the door, and never look back. But I knew I couldn't act impulsively. No, if I was going to leave, I would do it on my own terms. I could still hear Ronan's words from the meeting yesterday. You do good work, Elysia. No one denies that. But leadership isn't just about sitting in front of a screen writing algorithms. Every time I replayed those words, the anger flared up again. Who did he think he was? I knew Ronan wasn't capable of managing complex projects the way I had. I knew he would struggle when he had to make real decisions instead of just stealing ideas from others. And I knew that sooner or later, Quantix Solutions would realize their mistake. But by then, I wouldn't be here anymore. I took a sip of coffee, opened a new document, and typed a simple title: The Next Move. I couldn't just leave without a plan. If I walked away without a strategy, I would be throwing away 6 years of experience and effort. I wasn't about to let that happen. I opened a checklist and started outlining my steps. Complete the AI system. I had spent 2 years developing this platform, but it needed another month to refine the final details. I had to ensure it was completely independent of anything belonging to Quantix. Reconnect with former clients. Many of Quantix's clients had grown accustomed to my way of working. If they ever left Quantix, I could turn them into potential partners for my next venture. Find a better opportunity. I had 2 choices: join another company or start my own. I needed to assess the risks of each path carefully, stay under the radar. I would keep my composure, work as usual. If anyone suspected I was planning to leave, they might try to stop me. The next week passed in suspicious silence. I continued working as usual, but I began noticing small changes in the company. Ronan was struggling. I could see the hesitation in his decisions regarding data projects. He didn't understand how the system I built actually worked. One afternoon, as I walked past the meeting room, I overheard his voice raised in frustration. I don't understand why the system is running so slow. Who changed the analysis algorithm? No one changed anything, Ronan, but the input data hasn't been filtered properly, so the model can't process it efficiently. Then fix it. But you approved this new data entry process last week. A heavy silence followed. I didn't stop to hear more, but I could already imagine the confused look on his face. This was what happened when someone who didn't understand the work tried to lead it. Ronan's tension started to spread across the company. The same people who had once supported him now began questioning him. Even Malcolm seemed more and more uneasy. 3 weeks after being passed over for the promotion, I received an unexpected email. Cassian Wolf, CEO of Vertex Analytics. Elysia, I've been following your work for a while. I'd like to discuss a potential opportunity. Would you be open to meeting next week? I stared at the screen. Cassian Wolf was a visionary. His company, Vertex Analytics, wasn't as big as Quantix, but it was growing rapidly, with ambitions to compete with major players in the industry. If he wanted to meet with me, it meant he saw my true value, something Quantix never did. I typed a brief reply. Elysia Vaughn. I'm very interested. Looking forward to our meeting next week. I hit send and leaned back in my chair, feeling, for the first time, a real sense of hope. 1 week before my meeting with Cassian, I received an unexpected call from Malcolm. Elysia, can you come to my office for a moment? My heartbeat skipped for a second. I put my phone down, took a slow breath, and stood up. As I walked toward his office, I could feel the eyes of my colleagues on me. They knew what this meant. I could refuse. I could say I was busy, but I didn't. I wanted to hear what Malcolm had to say. I reached the door, placed my hand on the handle, and hesitated for just a second. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't afraid anymore. I took a deep breath, my hand still resting on the door handle of Malcolm's office. In that brief moment, I thought about everything that had happened over the past 3 weeks. Since being passed over for the promotion, I had watched Ronan struggle with his new role, seen Malcolm begin to doubt his decision. Meanwhile, I had been quietly preparing for my next move. And now, just as everything was falling into place, this call came. I pushed the door open. Malcolm sat behind his familiar walnut desk, his hands clasped together. He no longer had the composed demeanor he once carried. He looked exhausted. Beside him was Lisa Carter, Quantix's Director of Human Resources, and there was one more person in the room, Ronan Hale. I was slightly surprised but didn't let it show. There was an empty chair across from Malcolm's desk, but I didn't sit down immediately. "You called for me?" I kept my voice neutral, not too interested, but not indifferent either. Malcolm gestured toward the chair. "Have a seat, Alicia." I sat down, crossing my arms over my chest, waiting. "I'll get straight to the point," Malcolm said, leaning forward. "I know you weren't happy with the last promotion decision." I let out a small, amused chuckle. "You think so?" Lisa glanced at me, looking slightly uncomfortable. Ronan said nothing, but I could feel the tension radiating off him. Malcolm continued, ignoring my sarcasm. "The company is facing some challenges. We need your help." I didn't respond immediately. I wanted to hear what they had to say next. "What kind of challenges?" Lisa was the one to answer. "We know that you understand Quantix's AI system better than anyone. Since you stepped away from the team, performance has declined significantly." I glanced at the stack of documents on the desk. I could guess what they were, reports on the system's plummeting efficiency. "I'm no longer in charge of that team," I said simply. "That's true," Malcolm nodded. "But you could come back?" I raised an eyebrow. "Come back?" Lisa clasped her hands together. "We want to offer you a new position, Vice President of Data Strategy, a higher rank than Ronan, full authority over your team." Ronan's fists clenched slightly, his expression darkening. "And what about Ronan?" I asked, looking straight at him. Lisa hesitated, glancing at Malcolm before choosing her words carefully. "Ronan will remain with the company, but he will no longer be managing the data team." A polite way of saying he failed completely. "The salary will be 40% higher than your current pay," Malcolm added. "You'll have complete freedom to structure the system as you see fit." I stared at him. 3 weeks ago, they told me I wasn't fit for leadership. Now they were offering me an even higher position? Ronan suddenly spoke. His voice was tense, but he tried to maintain his confidence. "You should think carefully, Alicia. Don't let personal emotions lead you to make the wrong decision." I turned to him, tilting my head slightly. "Are you worried, Ronan?" His jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. That was all the answer I needed. A small smile formed on my lips. "I appreciate the offer," I said, standing up. "But I'm not interested." Malcolm frowned. "Alicia, you should at least take some time to think." I shook my head. "I've already thought enough. If I wasn't good enough to lead 3 weeks ago, then I'm not good enough today either." Lisa looked like she wanted to say something, but she remained silent. Malcolm exhaled heavily. "I hope you're not making a mistake." I tilted my head slightly. "I hope you aren't either." Without another word, I turned and walked out of the office. I never looked back. Back at my desk, I opened my inbox. A new email from Cassian Wolf was waiting. Cassian Wolf. "Alicia, I'm looking forward to our meeting next week. We can discuss your role at Vertex Analytics, and I believe this will be an incredible opportunity." I clicked reply. Alicia Vaughn. "I'm looking forward to it as well. See you soon." I hit send and leaned back in my chair. For the first time in years, I felt completely in control of my future. I stood in front of Vertex Analytics, feeling a mix of excitement and anticipation run down my spine. For years, I had gone to work with the same mindset, walking into Quantix, sitting at my desk, excelling at my job while still being overlooked. But today was different. Today, I was no longer an undervalued employee. Today, I was stepping into a place that actually wanted me here. I took a deep breath, adjusted my coat, and pushed the door open. The receptionist led me to a conference room on the 18th floor, where Cassian Wolf, CEO of Vertex Analytics, was waiting. Cassian stood as I entered, extending a handshake with a confident yet approachable smile. He was tall, lean, and carried himself with the ease of a man who knew exactly what he wanted. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Alicia. I've been following your work for some time." I took a seat, keeping my gaze steady on Cassian. "I'm curious about your offer." He nodded. "I won't waste your time. I want you to be Vertex's Director of Data Strategy." I paused, letting the weight of his words settle. At Quantix, they told me I wasn't leadership material. Now, another company was offering me a role more significant than any I had ever held. "I understand you may have other options," Cassian continued, "but I believe that at Vertex, you'll have the freedom to build something truly your own." I tilted my head slightly. "And what exactly does that mean?" "We're expanding our data analytics division, focusing on AI-driven business process optimization. We know you built a groundbreaking AI system for Quantix, but they never gave you the space to take it to its full potential. Here, you can." His words struck exactly where my ambitions lay. "And the terms?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Cassian smiled. "You will have full authority over the data team, control over project budgeting, and, of course, a compensation package that reflects your expertise." I studied him carefully. He knew I wasn't just looking for a paycheck. I was looking for the chance to create real impact. "I'll need a day to think about it." Cassian nodded. "Of course. But I have one condition." I raised an eyebrow. "When you come to Vertex, I want you to bring your own team." Leaving Vertex Analytics, my mind raced with possibilities. Cassian's words echoed in my head. Bring your own team. That meant I could take the best talent with me. That meant I could pull the most skilled people out of Quantix. I immediately thought of Dylan Carter, the one colleague who had always believed in me. And there were others, brilliant engineers stuck in an unfair system, held back by politics rather than their abilities. The idea was too tempting to ignore. The next morning, I arrived at Quantix as usual, not wanting to raise any suspicion. But as I walked past Ronan's workspace, I noticed a shift in the atmosphere. He sat hunched over his screen, his face tense, shoulders stiff. A voice cut through the office from across the room. "I don't care about the excuse. This report is completely wrong, Ronan. If we don't fix it today, we're going to lose this client." Malcolm's voice. I stopped for a brief second, watching as Ronan's hand clenched around his keyboard. I knew exactly what he was going through. He had never been truly competent in this role. Before, he could hide behind me, using my expertise to mask his shortcomings. But now he was on his own. I didn't feel pity. I just felt validated. I had been right from the very beginning. At noon, I sent a short message. "Alicia Vaughn. Do you have time to talk? I have an interesting offer for you." A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Dylan Carter. "Absolutely. After work?" Alicia Vaughn. "Perfect. I think you'll want to hear this." Locking my screen, I looked out the window of my office. Just one more step, and I would leave this place forever. I sat in the familiar cafe where Dylan Carter and I had occasionally shared conversations outside of work. Today, the atmosphere between us was different. No more venting about office politics or the unfairness at Quantix. Today, I was here to make a real proposition. Dylan walked in, set his coffee down on the table, and pulled out a chair across from me. "You've got me curious," he said, raising an eyebrow. I didn't beat around the bush. "I'm leaving Quantix, and I want you to come with me." Dylan paused, his fingers tightening slightly around his cup. I take it you've found something better? I nodded. Vertex Analytics. They want me to lead their data strategy, and they're allowing me to bring my own team. Dylan exhaled slowly, his eyes sharpening. How many spots do you have? I leaned back in my chair. I can choose as many people as I want. He let out a quiet chuckle. They trust you that much? I shrugged. Cassian Wolf isn't like Malcolm. He didn't make this offer because he needs someone to clean up a mess. He wants someone with vision. Dylan nodded slowly, thinking. I pressed on. You know what's happening at Quantix. You've seen Ronan fail. You've seen Malcolm start to panic. They can't hold on to their best people anymore. Dylan was silent for a moment. I knew he was loyal to his work, but I also knew his patience with Quantix had worn thin. I need time to think, he finally said. I smiled. I'll be waiting for your answer. Over the next 3 days, I quietly reached out to the most talented people I trusted. I was selective, those with real ability, strategic thinking, and who wouldn't be swayed by empty promises from Quantix. I couldn't openly recruit, but I knew how to send subtle signals. Each conversation led to the same reaction. They knew Quantix was declining, and they knew opportunities like this didn't come twice. Dylan was the first to text back. Dylan Carter. I'm in. After Dylan, 3 more people agreed. It was a small group, but enough to send a shockwave when we all left at once. I knew I couldn't leave in a rush or cause a scene. I needed a flawless exit strategy. I spent a week preparing everything. I completed all outstanding work so no one could say I had abandoned ship. I backed up all my personal documents, ensuring nothing related to Quantix remained on my devices. I planned for our resignations to be submitted simultaneously, leaving Quantix no time to react. The resignation date was set. That morning, I walked into the office feeling unusually calm. I opened my laptop, clicked on the pre-written email, and read it one last time. To Malcolm Stroud, Lisa Carter. Subject, resignation letter. Dear Executive Board, I am formally submitting my resignation from Quantix Solutions, effective in 2 weeks. Thank you for the opportunity to work here. Best regards, Elysia Vaughn. I took a deep breath. Then I hit send. Less than 5 minutes later, I saw Dylan and the others submit theirs as well. A chain of email notifications flooded the office. People started looking around, whispers spreading quickly. Ronan stepped out of the meeting room, frowning as he noticed the murmuring around the office. What's going on? He demanded. A nearby IT employee looked up, confused. Elysia and her entire team just resigned. Ronan's face changed instantly. His gaze locked onto mine, disbelief written all over his expression. I met his stare for a second, then simply turned back to my screen, calmly finishing my last few tasks. An hour later, my phone rang. Come to my office, now. Malcolm's voice was tense. I stepped inside. This time, Lisa wasn't here. It was just Malcolm and Ronan. Malcolm's expression was dark. What the hell are you doing, Elysia? I sat down, keeping my tone steady. I submitted my resignation. Not just you. His voice dropped. Your entire team is leaving with you. I said nothing. Who's behind this? Malcolm's teeth clenched. Vertex Analytics? I neither confirmed nor denied. Are you deliberately trying to sabotage this company? Ronan suddenly snapped, his voice sharp with anger. I turned to him, my expression neutral. This company has been sabotaging itself for a long time. Silence filled the room. Malcolm exhaled heavily. Elysia, I don't want to lose you. I can offer you a higher salary, more control. I shook my head. This isn't about money or power, Malcolm. This is about value. He stared at me for a long moment. Then slowly, he nodded. Then I won't try to stop you. I stood up. Thank you for understanding. As I turned to leave, I glanced at Ronan one last time. Good luck with your position, I said lightly. You're going to need it. Ronan said nothing. I walked out, feeling lighter than I had in years. 3 days later, I stepped into the office of Vertex Analytics. This time, I wasn't an employee being overlooked. This time, I was walking into a company that truly wanted me here. Cassian Wolf was waiting. He extended his hand, shaking mine firmly. "Welcome to Vertex, Elysia." I smiled. I had made the right choice. I stood in front of Vertex Analytics for the second time in a month, but this time, I wasn't here for an interview. I wasn't here as someone waiting to be chosen. Today, I was walking in as the Director of Data Strategy. For the first time in years, I felt like I truly belonged somewhere. Cassian Wolf personally greeted me at the entrance, shaking my hand with a confident smile. "Elysia, welcome to Vertex. I'm looking forward to what we can accomplish together." I nodded. "So am I." He led me through the main hallway, giving me a brief introduction to the company culture and the team. Unlike Quantix, where the atmosphere was always tense, filled with internal politics, Vertex felt dynamic, fast-paced, and full of ambition. "I believe you'll find you have much more freedom here," Cassian said as we stepped into the main conference room. "We don't just want talented people, we want people who can change the game." I knew, in that moment, this was exactly where I was meant to be. That afternoon, I began familiarizing myself with my new team. Among them were Dylan Carter and 3 others from Quantix whom I had brought with me. Seeing them in this office, no longer under Ronan's or Malcolm's control, I knew we had made the right decision. Dylan walked into my office, leaning against the doorframe. "So, how does it feel to actually be valued?" I let out a small laugh. "Strange, but I like it." "Good," Dylan said. "Then let's make sure they were right to believe in you." I nodded. No one was holding me back anymore. Now, it was time to prove my worth. 2 weeks after I left, news of Quantix's internal chaos began to leak. Dylan forwarded me an article from a tech news site. Quantix Solutions faces turmoil after losing key personnel. AI system performance issues raise concerns among major clients. I skimmed through the article, unsurprised. I had seen this coming. When the best people leave, the system collapses. Scrolling further, I found the comments section, where anonymous employees from Quantix had started speaking out. "Ever since Elysia Vaughn and her team left, the AI system hasn't functioned properly. Leadership is still trying to cover up the problems. The company is losing major clients due to faulty data. No one really understands how the AI system Elysia built actually works." I didn't feel satisfaction, just the quiet certainty that I had been right all along. A new message popped up on my screen. Lisa Carter. "Elysia, can we talk?" I leaned back in my chair, considering my response for a few seconds before typing. Elysia Vaughn. "About what?" Lisa replied almost instantly. Lisa Carter. "Malcolm wants to meet. He has an offer." I let out a small laugh. Too late. I typed a brief response. Elysia Vaughn. "There's nothing to discuss." I hit send and locked my screen. I wasn't thinking about Quantix anymore. I had more important things to focus on. 3 days later, I stepped into Vertex's main conference room, where Cassian Wolf and the company's leadership team were waiting. Today was the first time I would present my strategic plan as the Director of Data Strategy. I didn't just want to make an impression, I wanted to shape the future of Vertex. Taking a deep breath, I opened my report and began. Cassian nodded as I finished my presentation. "Very impressive," he said, setting his pen down on the table. "Your AI system for optimizing business processes has enormous potential. But I have one question." I met his gaze. "Go ahead. Can we implement it immediately?" I had anticipated this question. "The system still needs further testing before we roll it out on a large scale," I answered plainly. "If we rush the process without thorough control, we could run into risks." Cassian nodded, considering my words. "I understand. But we have a huge opportunity. Vanguard systems. They need a solution immediately." The name immediately caught my attention. Vanguard Systems was one of Vertex's most promising potential partners. If they adopted my system, it would open a massive door for the company. "They want us to run a trial deployment in 3 weeks," Cassian continued. "I know it's a tough challenge, but can you do it?" 3 weeks. Not nearly enough time to finalize and commercialize an AI system under normal circumstances, but I never worked under normal circumstances. I looked at Cassian and nodded. "I'll get it done." That evening, as I left the office, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I opened the message. "Unknown number. You think you can run away from Quantix?" I frowned. I hadn't saved this number, but I recognized the tone instantly. I typed a simple reply. "Elysia Vaughn. Ronan?" A few seconds later, another message appeared. "Ronan Hale. I won't let you get away with this." I chuckled. Some people just couldn't accept reality. I didn't bother responding. Instead, I blocked his number. Ronan could be angry, but he no longer had any power over me. I had left his world behind. 3 days later, I stepped into Vertex's main conference room, where Cassian Wolf and the company's leadership team were waiting. On the screen in front of me was the presentation for our new AI project, a project I had once dreamed of building, but never had the opportunity to complete at Quantix. Today, it would become reality. I had left the past behind, and now I was building my future. No one would hold me back anymore. No one would underestimate me again. I had won.